and they would need, I don't know, maybe $500 billion to make this payoff to keep the pension plans solvent. On the other hand, all of those state and county and those governmental agencies are not covered, which means the United States government, if they don't want them to go bankrupt, they're going to have to come up with the money to give to them. They'll call it a loan, but of course it's not. They're never going to get paid back. And they're going to have to come up with the money to make them solvent. I mean, this whole thing is absolute insanity. And the American taxpayer is paying for every bit of it.
Well, I don't think the average individual really understands the implications of what's happening. I think that one of the most significant things is the fact that the Social Security fund is not getting the money, and it has in the past, nor is Medicare, because there's so many people out of work, so they're not paying their Social Security and Medicare funds, and so they're going to go bankrupt a lot sooner. In other words, these funds are going to go bankrupt a lot sooner. There's nothing there. That the money doesn't come in. The government can't steal that money as it has in the past and simply replace it with worthless bonds. And suddenly we're going to find that the government is going to have massive outlays and not going to have the money from Social Security and Medicare it's had in the past. Is that a fair assessment?
That's about $250 billion a year.
Right. And so in
fact, last year it was 300, but it's starting to go down this year. And they're in the same position that pension funds are. And the government will have to print money and pour it in there.
Hold that thought, we'll be right back.
Everybody says, well, isn't this going to happen in the next 3 months and everything's going to fall apart? And the answer is no. They're going to keep on pulling all this foolishness until they can't do it anymore, or until exactly when they want to pull the plug, or they have to pull the plug on the entire inflationary economy, making it deflationary, and causing a deflationary depression. And that's what's going to happen. And
well, but why do you
argue
think
with some of these economists who are very good, who say we have deflation already? Of course we have. We've had it for 5 years. And money and credit has been increasing at a rate of average of 14% by all major countries during that period of time. So they've offset deflation. And that's what they're going to want to continue to do. And so they will continue to do that until they can't anymore, or they start their third world war.
Well, because the thing would be that they can keep just increasing the money supply and increasing the printing money or creating money. They don't really print it. Most of it's just created out of nothing. It's simply a banking entries. But they can. I mean, we're talking about really over at least a $2 trillion deficit for this coming year. Now, it took us 200 years to run up a deficit of $1 trillion. They're talking about creating that in just a single year, not $1 but $2 trillion, or close to that. I mean, this is going to have a devastating effect on our debt. I mean, certainly there's no way we'll ever be able to pay off that debt and all the other debt, which is about $65 trillion if you use the general accepted accounting principles, the GAAP principles, GAAP. Look it up on the Internet, general accepted accounting principles, and the real debt of the United States is not what they're telling us at all. I mean, they would tell us that, the debt... the deficit last year was about $450 billion, but it was really over $5 trillion if you use the general accepted accounting principles, which they require corporations to use. The government just lies about the figures, don't they, Bob?
They certainly do. And I'm just seeing numbers now at $2.5 trillion for this fiscal year. And, they just don't care. In fact, they want inflation so they can delay the program until they're ready to pull the plug. And you got to watch what's going on in Afghanistan. Troops and mercenaries, we get 200,000 people there. All he did was move them from Iraq to Afghanistan. They're going to extend the war into Pakistan. They're going to take it into Bangladesh and India, and they're going to take it into Iran, and Israel's going to get involved. And they're going to have their third world war. And this is what they're looking for. And this is what's going to bail them out.
Well, because we're already
get rid of a lot of people that they want to get rid of.
We're already attacking Pakistan. We're sending our drones in. We're sending special forces units in. These are acts of war against a sovereign nation. Where is the public outcry? That's how we got trapped into Vietnam. We sent our troops in, and then pretty soon they were only their advisory, and then the next thing we knew they were fighting, and then of course we were, bombing North Vietnam, and then of course we were sending our bombers over into Cambodia to kill 600,000 innocent civilians over there. And of course, we wonder why some of the Muslims hate us. Well, because we're killing their women and children. If they were killing our women and children, wouldn't we be incensed? Yet that's exactly what we're doing. And this is being carried out under the behest of Barack Obama, who insists we're going to have change. It looks to me like a change for the worse.
Well, it's Team A took over from Team B. And the people who are in charge of George Bush are now in charge of Barry Soetoro. And that's just the way it is, and the American public's been hoodwinked again. They're dumber than dumb, and that's just the way America is.
I think our listeners should know that Barry Soetoro is another alias for Barack Obama. He keeps changing his name for some reason. But his real name was Benny Soetoro, But anyway, of course, the difficulty is, ladies and gentlemen, that the same people who were running this thing under George Bush are running it under Barack Obama. Where did Mr. Geithner come from? He was the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He was working very closely with Ben Bernanke and Henry Paulson under the Bush administration, and now he's in the key position in the Obama administration. He's Secretary of the Treasury. Mr. Gates, a very important position. Mr. Gates is George Bush's appointee, and of course Barack Obama kept him on. There are 11 members of the 80 members of the Trilateral Commission are in key positions in the Obama administration. Isn't it strange that nobody will tell the American people that today?
That's correct.
We'll be back in just a moment.
It's not going to change, and the public will only become...
Hold that thought for just a moment. Well, Bob, you go right ahead. Pick up the story there.
I would have rather heard the music, but anyway.
Well, I'd rather hear you talk. I get to hear the music anytime I want to. You go right ahead.
That's not fair.
But whoever said anything was fair. You'll have to have your own program. I know I love to hear Kate Smith, but I think really, Chris, what we're talking about is so vitally important to the people today. They need to understand that they're being lied to by the media. And there really is a little clique, a little cabal that controls both political parties, and it doesn't matter whether Democrats or Republicans are in there. It's always the same policies, and you get a new administration in and they do all of these foolish things, and the people are really thinking or scratching their heads and saying, how could this possibly be? Well, it's very simple. The same people are in control, whether the Republicans or the Democrats are there. But you pick up the story.
Yes, and the public either doesn't want to know or doesn't understand. And, of course, we keep on going on the radio worldwide and telling people about what's really going on, although that's very hard for people to understand from time to time because it seems so, I don't know how you, just crazy to them that, anything could be like this. Another thing which I'm watching here is a lot of people who have understood for some years what's going on are going into sort of a, you might call it a hiding or a secret position. They don't want any exposure anymore because they really think that bad things are very close at hand. And I think these people are among the people who have been extremely arming themselves. I just picked up a piece which is going in Wednesday's issue, which is the day after tomorrow, and it came from a company in Alabama that sells guns and ammunition, and they just can't keep up with the demand.
I know we've heard the same thing from Outdoor World, which is a sporting store in this town. My son was telling me that they told him when he was down there the other day,